Rangkarnebhi shrunuyama devaha Padram pasyemakshbhiryajatraha Stirae rangae stushuvagam sastanuvihi Yasema deva hitai yadayuhu. May we hear with our ears what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we enjoy with strong limbs and bodies the life allotted to us. The subject this morning is my journey to Vedanta. I had hoped that it would be called a journey to Vedanta, in which case I could have nicely talked about some of the scriptural statements and philosophical statements, and it would have been very smooth and easy. But that pronoun, my, got into the picture, so you'll have to forgive the personal aspect of this presentation. Normally we don't do that. No, we talk about Vedantic principles and general spiritual principles. But if the title is My Journey to Vedanta, I have to do something personal about it. I think one of the things that what one could say started, at least my personal thought on the subject. I didn't think of it in this particular term, but later on this particular poem of Shankaracharya seems to summarize a great deal of what went on. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare. That really summarizes a great deal. And translation, it says again and again, I have to be born. And again, I have to die. This body has to die. Certainly, everyone will admit that the particular body was born and the particular body will certainly die. But we add one aspect to that. This isn't the first time, and it ain't going to be the last time. The point is that the philosophers and the spiritual guides of Vedanta and of other, this aspect is brought out in other religions, some other religions also. This isn't the first time that we don't come here tabula rasa, which is Latin for a clean slate, an empty slate. A child is not born with an empty slate. That is to say, its mind is ready and eager to understand, accept, but there is nothing except a writing pad there. You know, people don't think that the child comes with any tendencies or any memories or any experiences. But in the Indian tradition and in other places also, other thought systems also, there is the idea that this is not the first time that things come back. Things end on this plane and they start again. And what ties the present existence to any future existence is basically the work that has not been accomplished. What you didn't finish this time, we get another chance to tackle that, which is a very reasonable and actually very calming idea. I may have tried here for so many things, and for one reason or another, due to my own inadequacies, due to the circumstances that were put in front of me, whatever the reason, it's not likely that we're going to finish everything we want to finish in one lifetime. We do make progress, and we also regress and make progress again and regress again. So this is a long process. And the idea that it doesn't all depend on what we finish in this life is very comforting. Okay, this life is over, whatever it is, certain things have been accomplished. Many things remain to be accomplished. But I have another chance. I get another chance. And when do these chances end, according to this particular philosophy? When we've accomplished what we really want to accomplish. So the question is, what is it that we really want to accomplish here? And each one will probably answer that in a different way. But it'll all likely be finite objectives. We want to accomplish this, we want to accomplish that. The basic idea is that is put forward in response is, really there's nothing to accomplish. All that we have to do is to realize that which is existing, that which is true, that which is eternal. Everything that we want to accomplish is on a limited plane. It's in the realm of cause and effect. But that which we actually are, the essence that we are actually, that is our major constituent, that is what we really consist of. The idea is that that has never come. It has always been there. And because it is permanent and primeval, it will never go. So it's not a question of accomplishing anything. It's a question of realization, realizing what we already have, what we already basically are. Who are we? What am I? And the great sages, they answer, you are the infinite and the eternal. You are the unchanging. You are the essence. You are that which cannot be affected by anything. That has always been and always will be. The question of accomplishing doesn't involve us at all. What we basically are, what we basically have been, we will always be. And it's the realization of that which we're trying to accomplish. We're not trying to become anything or to change anything. We're trying to understand. We're trying to realize. So, the topic is my journey to Vedanta. So this is the general background against which any journey, any of our journeys should be measured. Now, in that respect, there is a very nice poem by Shankaracharya, and I will quote basically 3 verses from it and translate it. That poem is called the Bhaja Govinda Stotram. Bhaja Govinda means worship the Lord, worship the Lord. The story is that he was traveling along a street in, I think in Varanasi, the holiest city in India. And he heard some pundit, some learned person, reciting the rules of grammar, trying to memorize the rules of grammar and reciting them from memory. And Shankaracharya's reaction was, although he was a great supporter of that sort of learning and was himself fully learned in it, in this holiest of all places, in the city of Varanasi, the aim should be beyond the finite, toward the infinite. So the Bhaja Govinda Stotram, so punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, that means once again we are born, once again we die. Punarapi janani jashare sayanam, once again we have to be lying in the womb, ready to be born. Iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murari. That is the solution. This samsara, this going round and round that we are subject to, what is the way out? It is very difficult to cross, but there is a power that exists through whose mercy all of this can be transcended, and that which is real can be seen as at the heart of every appearance. So, once again being born, once again having to die, this endlessly repeated process is so difficult to transcend. Through your mercy, O Lord, protect me from that. So there is a way, there is a way to transcend all these things. That is the message of every religion. That which seems inadequate, that which seems decaying or decayable, that which seems problematic here, there is an answer to that. And what is that answer? Through your mercy, O Lord, protect me. So Bhaja Govindam, worship the Lord, worship the Lord, worship the Lord. Who is the Lord? The Lord is that which is eternal, which is infinite, which has never come because it always existed and which can never go. That is our real home. That is our real nature. And we have that feeling, we have that idea within ourselves. But it has to be actualized, it has to be realized, it has to be achieved consciously. So every religion provides a path for doing that. Then, going back to the official title of this talk, what is my particular journey to this? And it must be emphasized that everyone will have his or her own journey. But anyway, what started me being devoted to this process is that by attending these talks, by attending lectures, how I came to attend them is a complicated process, but anyway, I came to start attending lectures here. This was before most of you probably were born. 1959, I think, was the first lecture I attended. Anyway, I was going to the University of California, the graduate school there, in physics of all things, which is generally thought to be as far away from spirituality as you can get and still be in this world at all. But that is a wrong idea, because physics deals with the fundamental nature of things, the fundamental reality of things. And when one comes to that, when one answers all the physical questions that can be asked, like what is matter, what is energy, what is the relationship between the two, how can I understand Einstein's equations, all these things become part of the problem that we're trying to solve. But what physics is really trying to do is to understand what is, to understand reality, to understand truth. And we start with what can be easily understood, what has been much investigated, and that is on the physical plane. So that is where the journey, the title is My Journey to Vedanta. Well, my journey started at the University of California graduate school, and I had lived in undergraduate school. I had lived in dormitories, and if anyone is familiar with college dormitories, that's not always the most effective way of attending a university. Anyway, so I decided to go to a private rooming house rather than one of the dormitories at the university. And there were two other people there, two other men were there in this rooming house. And one of them, I mean, we became friends, and you know, in college, students, you talk half the night and then drink a lot of coffee to keep yourself up the next day. That sort of thing went on. One day he told me, I've been to this very interesting place. It's called a Vedanta Society. And the Swami there is so dynamic, so powerful, so convincing. You have to come and attend one of these classes with me. So I said, all right. So we came to this auditorium. This was before many of you were born. This was 1959. So we were sitting there, and I was in a great expectation. And this Swami came out very dignified, very, very sage and learned looking. I mean, his whole appearance was that of such a person. But he was not at all dynamic. He was not at all, rousing in his delivery. It was a very measured, very carefully constructed, very minutely analyzed discussion. So I sent a note to my friend next to me. Is this the dynamic and utterly enthusiastic person that you were talking about? He seems to be an imposter. That's what I wrote. And he wrote back a note. Of course, we couldn't talk. It would have been impolite. He wrote back a note, "I don't know who this is. He may be an imposter." Well, that particular imposter, Swami Shantasrupananda, eventually, when Swami Prabodhananda came to be in charge of the society, Swami Ashokananda had passed away. Swami Shantasrupananda went back to India, and the Swami in Lucknow, Swami Sridharananda, welcomed him there, and that Swami was enormously gifted spiritually. And I visited him in 1992, 93. Anyway, he passed away in 1996. And he passed away with his hair standing on end and with a huge smile. That's the classical way that one hears knowers of Brahman pass away. So, and I verified that because Swami Sridharananda, who was in charge of that center, later came here for some lectures. He held a class in Olima. And I asked him, was that true? Did the Swami pass away like that? This was, of course, many years later. He said, yes, indeed, this was that way. So the Swami that came that particular day, when my first attendance in this temple, that seemed to be so undynamic, so serious and professorial, was passed away like in the classical fashion of a great knower of Brahman. Anyway, we're all descendants of that. We're attending a society, a temple where knowers of Brahman have lived and have taught and have inspired. That's not only the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna who came here, Swami Turiyananda, Swami Vivekananda, who founded the society, Swami Turiyananda, who started the Shanti Ashrama, Swami Trigunatitananda, Swami Vedananda also came to visit. Anyway, we are the inheritors of that. That tradition is in this society and is a part of it. And to some extent in this very building. Anyway, this, as far as we have to get back to from the infinite and the eternal to the very limited and definitely non-eternal, this journey to Vedanta that I'm supposed to be talking about. Anyway, the thing that impressed me in this journey to Vedanta is basically 4 particular things when I thought about it, trying to rationalize it. First of all, God, that infinite reality, whatever religious definition you want to put on it, that which is called God in any particular sense, can be experienced. It's not a theory. When we, at least when I grew up in the traditional religious landscape, it is more like a theory. It's something that, it's not something that can be really experienced. Some religions naturally say that, but the basic idea is something that you believe, it's something that you follow, something that gives you hope and inspiration and guides your life, and all that has all sorts of wonderful properties. But the idea that God can be experienced is not really emphasized, although the saints of each religion certainly did experience that. But it's not really heavily emphasized. But that Vedanta definitely emphasizes that in a very strong way. God can be experienced. The second point is God has been experienced. It isn't that someone in some century, a few hundred years, a few thousand years ago did it, and now since then we believe it, and that's, a few great souls on occasion come along and are able to embody it, but it's much more than that. Each one of us can experience that. And that's why this example of this Swami Shantasvarupananda that I was talking about, who passed away like this in the traditional way of Noah's of Brahman, with the hair standing and a huge smile. These things are not theories. These things can be experienced. Will we experience it? Well, that depends a lot on our grace, but it also depends on the grace of God. So, but what is said is that the grace of God is always flowing, but if we don't raise our sail to that breeze, our boat will never be affected by it. So the emphasis is we have to raise our sail. Well, God can do the whole thing without that, can't he or she? Definitely. But we're sitting here yearning for something. If we yearn for a drink of water, we go to a faucet and get a drink of water. If we yearn for the realization of God, we have to do something about it. Just sitting there and yearning may be effective enough, but that itself will be doing something. It doesn't happen automatically. That is the message of all religions. We have to do something. We have to contribute. We have to try. We have to struggle for it, like we struggle for anything in this world. And then history tells us so many people have realized. So, journey to Vedanta. First idea is God can be experienced. The reality of God can be experienced. Second point is the reality of God has been experienced. It's not just a theory. And we have in our own tradition so many examples of that. But because we want to have something that's very close to our own time and our own place, the example of Swami Shantasvarupananda, who passed away in Lucknow in 1996 in this tremendous way, just as characteristically described by Noah's of Brahman, with hair standing and a smile, and it's not just theory. These are not things that, yes, great soul Sri Ramakrishna passed that way, oh sure. But how can we expect that to happen to little old us? But this shows that it can happen to little old us. So this is something that such an example definitely contributes. So God can be experienced. This the first path on the journey. The second point is God has been experienced, as we were just saying. And the third point is there is a path that leads to the experience of God, that is variously described and that is open to everyone. It isn't, oh, I've been so remiss, I haven't done this and I haven't done that. How can I possibly expect to go to a deeper understanding, a deeper realization? These examples show us that it can be done. At any time in life, from any point in our existence. And it is open to everyone. Someone who has spent the whole of their life in spiritual practices, okay, you might say, well, that could be expected. But within each one of us is that infinite reality, the infinite and the eternal. And that which is infinite and eternal is also infinitely accessible. So that is to be remembered. We may not have done anything so far, or we may have done very little so far to achieve that understanding, to achieve that spiritual insight, to achieve that realization. At any point, it can happen. There is a path that leads there. The fourth point is every religion represents one of these paths. It isn't that one particular philosophy or one particular method of practice is preferred. For each one of us, there may be a better method that may be more aligned with our own capabilities, our own qualities. But for everyone, there is something. So there is a way to get from here to there. So these are the four things anyway that one should really understand. God can be experienced. God has been experienced. There is a path that leads to experience, and each religion represents one or more of those paths. Now, then you say, well, personal details. This lecture is supposed to be on your path. Okay, well, I've tried to delay that as long as I could so that I don't have to say much about it. But, I mean, very briefly, in the last few minutes, I'll give some general ideas. I was at the University of California in Berkeley, graduate school, and I used to, in undergraduate school, I was in a student dorm, and everybody knows what a student dorm is like. It was fine, but it was not exactly a place where one wants to do some serious studying. It's not so conducive to that. So I rented a room in a private rooming house in Berkeley, and there were two other people there. Two other men were there, and of course we spent many hours discussing this, that, and the other. Anyway, one day, one of them came to me and said, I've just been to a fantastic place. It's a temple in San Francisco, and there is a Swami there who's just so dynamic, so forceful, so powerful and convincing. You must come and next time and attend this service. So we came here, this very auditorium. This was just after this temple had been dedicated. It was December 1959. Most of you were not even born. But we came here, and the Swami came out, not dynamic, not forceful, not transforming type, very quiet, extremely collected, extremely concentrated, giving an excellent lecture, but totally not the dynamic personality that my friend had told me about. So I sent him a note while we were sitting there. Sent him a note. Is this the, quote, dynamic, unquote, Swami that you were talking about? So he sent back the note. I don't know who this is. He may be an imposter. So that is wonderful. Anyway, somehow or other, by the grace of God, I should have been turned off. I should never have come back. Why do I want to hear imposters? But anyway, I came back, and then everything else happened. You know, I joined the monastery, went to Olima, spent many years at the Olima monastery, driving a bulldozer of all things. You don't expect, you know, monks are supposed to be sitting in meditation, absorbed in high things. And my first job was to drive a bulldozer and load trucks with soil and things like that. Well, anyway, that was how things went. Also, it might be said that my thesis advisor at the university, he was in the physics department there, one of the senior professors. Somehow or other, he became interested in Vedanta. Somehow or other, I had nothing to do with it. We never talked about anything except physics. And we hardly ever talked at all, because at the university, your relationship with the staff is, you know, if you're an advanced graduate student, you know, doing all sorts of important things, yeah, okay, but ordinarily there isn't that much communication. Anyway, it turned out he became a member of the Vedanta Society of Berkeley. Not only that, he became the president of the Vedanta Society of Berkeley. His name was Wilson Powell. He was head of one of the experimental groups at the Bevatron in Berkeley, the high-energy particle accelerator. And, in fact, he became the president of the Vedanta Society, and he actually passed away at the Vedanta Society in Berkeley. He had a heart attack while he was sitting in the library. And so anyway, this did not have anything to do with me, because I was not acquainted with him anymore after having left the university. But it shows you the great power of Vedanta. It can even attract people who are not normally expected to be attracted by such things. One of his major contributions as president of the Vedanta Society in Berkeley was to purchase these very comfortable chairs that are now in the auditorium, very white, sort of leatherette chairs, very comfortable. So as president, that was his contribution. Anyway, that's part of my journey. But I think he had nothing to do with it. I think I may have influenced him rather than the other way around. So this is really, there really isn't that much more to say. It's supposed to be my journey to Vedanta. But the real point is, what is your journey to Vedanta? What is your journey to that which is real, to that which is eternal, to that which is infinite? And what is the path that one should really follow? What is the lesson for us to learn from all of this? The basic lesson, I think, is to keep on that yearning. If we have to make that yearning culminate in the very highest possible result. If we aim for the highest and we don't let go of that aim, we don't compromise that aim, I think the lesson, at least from my experience, however limited that is, the lesson is aim for the very highest and don't let go of that aim. Whatever that highest happens to be, try to make it higher, try to make it more intense, more definite, more powerful. And the lesson is that it can be accomplished. That which we really want to accomplish, we can accomplish. If we want to realize God, we will advance in that direction. We will slowly advance. Things will happen. Things turn around. Things align themselves in such a way that this sort of thing does happen. There are negative aspects, but the negative aspects always have a positive shadow. And that positive shadow will cause a continual advance. This is the basic lesson of Vedanta. We have to succeed. We are bound to succeed. There is no failure in spiritual life. This is what is constantly emphasized. There is no failure. There are certain ups and downs, going forward, going backward to a certain extent. But the net result, if our yearning keeps steady and if we don't let go of it, the net result is there will always be some sunshine there, something that will remove the shadow, something that will remove the obstacle. Why is that so? Because this is the truth about ourselves. The ancient seers have found this. Aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. If that is a true statement that each one of us can make, I am that, I am Brahman, then that means that eventually we must realize it. There is no way we can avoid realizing that. We may shut our eyes to it for some time, we may aim for this, that, or the other. Eventually we will have to go back. We're not released until that realization comes. That is the meaning of reincarnation. Reincarnation means that we will not be released until we accomplish what we're supposed to accomplish here. And that is to realize the infinite and the eternal, and that this multiplicity is the delusion. It's not, normally we think God is the illusion or the delusion. And this is real. Our life here in this respect is real. What we have to realize is that this life is what is temporary, what is delusional. At the heart of this life there is something that is not delusional, that is infinite and eternal. And that is what we should realize.
ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
The subject next Sunday is Shankara and his work. This talk will be given by Swami Vedananda. Child care is provided during our Sunday lectures. On Sunday evenings, Swami Vedananda holds an online class at 6 p.m. on the foundational texts of Indian philosophy. The Zoom and YouTube links are available on our website's homepage as well as in the monthly email bulletin. On Wednesday evenings, we have Vespers with meditation at 7:30 p.m. in this auditorium. On Friday evenings, Swami Vedananda holds a scripture class at the Old Temple at 7:30 p.m. Please use the auditorium entrance on Filbert Street. The current text for study is the Bhagavad Gita. The class is also streamed on YouTube and Facebook. After the lecture, there will be a Karma Yoga meeting in Swami Vivekananda Hall on preparing for our Memorial Day retreat at Olima. We look forward to your participation at the meeting. You and your friends are cordially invited to attend all of our services.